It is your boy T with another Have You Seen That with T movie reviews, and today we are finally reviewing John Wick 4. I've been waiting on this movie for quite some time, and I'm so glad that I got a chance to see it. And what a fitting conclusion to the John Wick story, or is it? So at the end of John Wick 3, John Wick was shot by Ian McShane, the owner of the Continental in New York City. He shot him off the roof of the Continental, and somehow John Wick managed to survive the fall. He gets picked up by one of the street assassins, led by Lawrence Fishburne's the Bowery King. And part 4 picks up exactly where part 3 left off. John Wick is training in the sewers of New York City like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, waiting to get his revenge on the high table. So in John Wick 4, John Wick is being chased down by the Marquis de Gramont, played by Bill Skarsgård. And what a character this guy is. This young, conniving, character is being, I guess, tasked out by the high table in order to kill John Wick, to kill the idea of John Wick, the assassin with a mind of his own. We don't need that in this world of assassins. We need assassins who are just going to pull the job off the way you want them to pull the job off. And John Wick seems to have revenge on his mind. So this movie takes us to all different locations. We're in the Middle East. We're in Japan, where we meet Hiroyuki Sanada's character, who is the curator and owner of the Continental Hotel in Osaka, Japan, and his daughter, who's just a phenomenal actress in this movie. John Wick is an old friend of his, and John Wick brings his business to the Continental in Japan. And what happens? The Marquis' right-hand man, played by none other than the action legend Scott Adkins, show up there, and they have one of the most intense fights ever. And then we're introduced also to Donnie Yen's character of Kane, who comes out of nowhere and might be the greatest character in the John Wick universe, a blind assassin who just whips ass. Like, Donnie Yen brings so much to this movie that he just completely takes it to a whole different level of action. Of course, he's an action legend within himself, but the blind character, his conflict, because he's an old friend of John Wick, but he has that contract, and once you get the contract from the League of Assassins, so to speak, the high table, you do what they want you to do, or you suffer the consequences. So he's in turn hunting John Wick. We have Shamir Anderson. His character is known as Mr. Nobody. And him and his dog are chasing down John Wick throughout the movie, helping him get away from other assassins, because he wants that big prize, And as the movie goes on, they keep upping the bounty on John Wick's head. Why? Because he keeps killing a lot of bad people trying to kill him. And they have this fight scene. Some of the action set pieces of this movie are just second to none. There is this one action sequence in the Champs-Élysées, because it ends in Paris. And when I say it is just complete bedlam and mayhem, it exactly is that. John Wick is somewhat of a superhero. His suits are made of Kevlar, and somehow that makes him almost bulletproof. And boy, oh boy, do they play into that in this movie. Just everyone is just stellar in this movie. This is for sure the best movie of the series. And it came at the right time. It just hit exactly the way it's supposed to hit. John Wick 4 was just an amazing action movie. There are very few words. There are a lot of epic characters in this movie. John Wick says very few words throughout the movie, which is perfect for Keanu Reeves. But everyone else just makes it into this epic saga of a movie. And looking back on where I was watching the original John Wick, I was so enamored with the world that they built, but it was built on such a small scale. And every movie they've upped the scale, twofold. And with John Wick 4, they upped it to just this epic global phenomenon And I mean, they went all over the world. Berlin, they were in of course, France, they were in the Middle East. And it was just this huge built world that they, I don't know if they'll ever be able to replicate this in another movie. From what I read, they're going to be taking a little bit of time off after John Wick 4. And it was definitely, like I said, a fitting conclusion to the John Wick story. Of course, I don't think it is the conclusion to the John Wick story. This movie is probably going to make a buttload of money, as it should, because it is just a great action movie. If you want to go see a good action movie this weekend, definitely go watch John Wick 4. It is definitely getting a huge seal of approval, stamp of approval, thumbs up, 5 stars, whatever you want to call it. This is a very great action movie.